Hi everyone, it's Leona with Leona's Designs, and I am here with another Bird of the Month for 2025. And for October, the Bird of the Month is a swan. And that's what I'm going to be creating today. I've got a pattern here of a swan that I drew for the Bird of the Month. I'm not sure if it's a tundra swan or a trumpeter swan. I think it more likely resembles a tundra swan. Both of those swans are native to the United States, and they're both beautiful. The tundra swan is a little smaller than the trumpeter, but both swans are very beautiful. Swans are known to be graceful and even romantic, I guess, because swans mate for life. So people relate them to being romantic and graceful and beautiful. And I'm excited to get started creating this beautiful swan this month for my Bird of the Month. And if you've been following along with this series, you will know that I've been creating a Bird of the Month on a 6 by 6 inch block every month, and at the end of the year I'm hoping to put all these blocks together to make a beautiful wall hanging of all my creations. If you stick around to the end of this video, I will show you the other 9 birds I've done so far. In case you're new here and you haven't been following the series, I'll just give you a little sneak peek of what the other 9 birds are and what I hope to put together at the end of the year with 12 birds. But right now I'm going to get into creating this 10th bird, and my plan is I'm going to just use some of this plain cotton material, which is, I don't know if it was a napkin or what it was. I got it at a yard sale, but I thought it would be a perfect body for this swan. And then I'm hoping to layer on a wing of some type in lace. And I'm not quite sure the lace I'm going to use. I've got a wing pattern here that after I cut this body out, I hope to add a layer of a wing. Maybe lace, or maybe this handkerchief I have here. It's got this beautiful purple and white embroidery. I thought that might make a beautiful wing. I don't know. But I'm planning to cut it out and see. But mainly I will be doing a lot of slow stitch on this swan. I love to slow stitch, and I'm just going to slow stitch all around the outside, and probably slow stitch the beak and the eye, and maybe, just embellish it with stitching. And I will have this pattern available on my Ko-fi shop if you would like to get the pattern and create a swan yourself. The size of this swan is about 4.5 inches by 5 inches. And I made it that size because I use it for the 6-inch block. And I'm thinking I might even add some water down here. I'm not sure. I've got some blue material here that I thought might make some good water. And I've got sewing thread and embroidery floss, cotton embroidery floss, and that's about it. So I think it'll be a pretty simple project. So right now I'm going to put this block aside and get busy cutting out this whole swan. Put this aside. And what I'm hoping to do is just maybe even cut out part of it. Oh, this could be the, actually look at that. Just notice this. This could even be the water. I might just cut this out for the water and then paint it blue with my paint pens. I think that might work really nice. Just have that for water. So I think with that in mind, I will be cutting this out to put it on the block before I start stitching this down. So I will be cutting that out, but I will cut him out just above this. So I think the best way to do this is probably trace it on the back. So whichever way you want your bird to face, you would trace it. Either if you trace it this way, it's going to be reversed either way. So I'm going to trace it this way. I'm going to look at my other blocks to see if I need to have it facing one way or the other. I'll be right back. Okay, yeah, I need it to be facing this way, so when I turn it over, it will face that way, if that makes any sense. So I'm just going to trace around it enough so I can cut it out. And hopefully we'll trace well enough to where I can get a decent cutout and not see the pencil marks, because I don't have one of those heat erase pens. I always think about I'm going to get one and then I forget, because I think they would be really handy to have. Now, if you didn't want to trace around it, you could pin it or glue it. Just enough glue to hold it down, to cut it out. Or pin it. And I think this will work. Okay. I can see it well enough to cut it out. So I'm going to use my, I'm going to get my bigger scissors. And just cut above. And right here. So I'm going to save this border. Now it will be easier to cut out. I'm going to cut close to that pencil line but not right on it. All right, so I'm just going to keep cutting, and I'll be back when I've got it all cut out. Okay, I got it all cut out. What I had to do was cut out another piece and glue it together. I should have doubled the fabric because the fabric was so thin. It really needed to be doubled. So I cut another template and or another shape, and I glued them together. So now what I'm going to do is cut the wing out. And I'm going to also cut this out and probably color it and see if I can stitch that down over this for the water. So let's see if this would look good for a wing. Otherwise, I'm going to get some lace. But I just thought this might make a beautiful wing. Maybe look right here. And I am going to glue this down and just cut it out. Let's put a little glue on this wing template. Oops, sorry, I'm out of camera. And then stick it down and we'll cut. And I want these, I want these flowers to be going this way, so better cut it this way. Hey, hopefully this will work. We'll see. Hopefully this fabric's not too thin. It is kind of thin because this is handkerchief material. I'm cutting it a little bigger because it's going to have to overlap the other wing that's on the main body. Can always trim it down. Hopefully this will look good, otherwise I'm going to go get some of my lace and use that. I might even add some lace to the body, maybe on the neck or something. You know, you never know until you start embellishing. Your original plan a lot of times gets altered. Ooh, that's beautiful. So I think that just might work. Yeah, I like that. But I think it's going to need something else now. If I can use this little piece somewhere. Maybe on the head. I could glue that on and stitch it down. Just never know what you're going to find when you start playing around. And since this is going to be a wall hanging, I don't have to worry about whether it's going to be washable. So I could glue it down and then lightly stitch it. Let's see. That would make a good beak right there. Maybe like that. Make it like a crown. I think that would be pretty. Have to move it down a little though, since these are my guidelines for the seam allowance. I think I would. I think I'm going to use that up there. And then I'm going to look for some lace. Maybe add some lace. And I'll be right back. Well, I found some lace that I thought might work, but I'm going to have to wait and see if I add that water. But I think this would be pretty. Even to glue some of this on the neck, like this little piece. But that will have to come after I get it stitched down. So we'll see. Right now I'm going to cut this out and see how this is going to work for water. Just going to cut right there along these stitching lines. And then I will have to get either my watercolor or my get what they call them. They're a paint pen. They're for fabric. And people use them a lot on fabric. Inktense, I think, is what they're called. Yeah, and I have ordered some and I haven't used them yet. So I'm kind of excited to see how they work out. I don't know if I'm going to use this part of it. Because this part looks more like water. So, let's see what we can do here. Just want to get these little parts that look like waves. This is what I like about doing these Bird of the Months, because every month I'm always surprised how it turns out. Because sometimes I start out with no idea or some idea, and usually never ends up how I think it will, but it usually ends up very pretty. So I think if I did it this way and made it blue, I would have to cut this down somehow so it looked like water. Like that. Okay. First, I'm going to glue this down to this background, and then I'm going to start stitching it. And then once I get it stitched, I'm going to work on this part. So first, I'm going to take this off and just glue this down enough to where I can start stitching. Take that off. Okay, I think that's good. It's tacked down enough to where I can start to stitch. And for this, I'm going to use just my plain sewing thread. And I'm just going to do running stitches all along, right along the edge. So I've got a needle here, and we're going to thread it with a pretty generous amount, because I end up always running out, and I don't like to rethread needles, but you know, you have to. Oops, where'd the end go? Okay. And I guess I'm gonna just knot one side like embroidery floss. And work with it that way. Probably should use 2 strands, but let's see how this works. Just want to make sure I'm in camera. Where should I start? I think I'll start here, right on the tip of his tail. Whoops, I just pulled that knot right through. I don't need to be too thorough here because guess I need a better knot. Which side did I knot, or did I even knot? Well, maybe I better use double thread. I'm just gonna knot both ends. Oh, come on. Let my mistakes be your guide. Okay, I think we got it now. All right. small stitches. Oops, caught my thread on the scissors. Hopefully I'm in camera. And it's sewing pretty easy. I'm going through 3 layers, but actually 4 layers. But these white layers are pretty thin, so because my block has batting on the back. Okay, so just going to keep going all the way around, and I'll come back when I get to the wing and when I'm going to add this on. I don't know if I'm going to stitch it or glue it. Figure that out when I get back around and have this all stitched down. Okay, I've got it all stitched down, and I think it looks good. I am probably just going to glue these like this. Probably just going to glue this on. And the other piece like that. And then I'll stitch an eye. Excuse me. And a beak. And maybe if I want to add more lace, we'll see. Might glue that or stitch it. But right now, I'm going to put this aside and see if I can paint this like water. So I've got my Inktense, Derwent Inktense pencils, which you have to use with water. So I'm going to take this pad off, put some plastic down, and I think this is the way I want it. How do I want it? This way? Or this way? I think this way looks better. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can paint this blue. Just got a small package of these Inktense pencils. They're pretty expensive, but I've heard they're really good. So this is green, black, bright blue, violet, red, and yellow. So let's see what the bright blue does. I think you just dip them in water and paint. And the paint is permanent once it dries. And I think if you add more water, it's like watercolor. It just kind of bleeds. So what I'm going to do is get my watercolor pencils. Actually, I might get my watercolors too. And just use these to highlight. just use this to highlight. I'm going to get my watercolors, brushes and my watercolors. Okay, I got my big brush here. Just going to use that for now. Add a little water and see what happens. Well, it doesn't really bleed that much. Add a little watercolor. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to watercolor the whole thing and then add highlights with those pencils. Oh, it's working out pretty cool. I never did this before. Actually, I don't even need those pencils, I think. Although the watercolor probably isn't permanent if you were going to wash it. But I'm not going to wash it. I'll hang it on the wall. I'll probably spray it with something to preserve the color and the fabric. I'm sure they have something. I think this is really cool. Glad I tried this. I've never done it before. So anyway, hopefully it inspires you to try it. Some watercolor on fabric and on a finger. Okay, I'm just gonna try the pencil again. See what we get with that. Just a little darker highlights there. It'd be really nice if you wanted to use this on some fabric. Like, I think the reason I bought these was because I was doing flower pounding on a blouse last year, and the blouse, the colors from the flowers started to fade. So I bought these pencils to go over the flowers to kind of bring the color back. And I never did get to doing that. So it's a good reminder to try that. Wow, what a difference, huh? Really cool. So obviously this is going to take a while to dry. But yeah, if you haven't heard of these or you've been wondering about them, I got them on Amazon. I'll put a link below, the Amazon link. I just bought the small pack, 6 pencils to try it, but I think they're pretty cool. And I've heard from other people that they work really well. So you might want to check them out. I'm going to set those aside. Set the watercolor aside. And I'm going to let this dry, and I'll be back. Okay, well, it's all dry. I had to use the hairdryer on it because it wasn't totally dry, but I did get it dry enough now to where I can stitch it down. And I am going to stitch it right here, just above that seam line. I think I'll move it just inside that seam line. So like that. I think that's going to look really good. And I did get some light blue thread to stitch that down with. So I think I'll pin it right here. And I'm just going to stitch it with straight stitches, running stitches. And make sure I get that bottom of the swan covered up there. And it might be a little tough stitching through all those layers. But we'll see. And then, after I get this stitched on, I'll go back and start embellishing the swan itself. So I'm just going to start right here on the end. And I do really love how it turned out. I don't know if you could see, but the watercolor mixed with the Derwent ink pencils really makes a beautiful pattern. So I'm really glad I tried that. And obviously, I will most likely be trying more of it. So I still have to create my Bird of the Month birthday card with the swan image. Haven't done that yet. So I don't have that to show you. Ooh, I want to get this up a little bit. I don't want it down there. On that seam allowance to try to move it up a little bit. Just got to keep it right there for the swan body though. Okay. So like I said, I don't have the Bird of the Month birthday card created yet, so I can't really tell you too much about October birthday people and too much about swans other than what I've already said. To me, swans are just peaceful birds. Just love to sit and watch them just float along the water. But I guess trumpeter swans can be quite loud. They have quite a loud trumpeting voice. Never heard it, but I've read that about them. Okay, I'm just going to keep stitching and get that all stitched down, and I'll be back. Okay, I got it all stitched on, think it looks really good. And I'm kind of pondering now what I want to do with this. I think it looks good this way. I don't like this wing now. Just don't like how that looks now. So I'm not going to really use that unless I cut pieces of it up and just use part of it. But I was playing around with some other lace. I had this. I thought maybe I could just use a piece of that. Glue it on there. Maybe glue a few of these on the neck. I'm not sure. I'm going to put the eye and the beak in and just see what I think. But I don't even know if it needs that extra wing part. Since I added this, water. So I'm going to do the eye with, let's see, where's my Posca pen. Make sure it's working right before I do that. And I'll put the eye right here. I might make a French knot there. And then for the beak, I thought I might use this Derwent pencil in sun yellow and just color that beak in. So it's not a very big beak. I think that'll work. And then I'm just going to cut this piece out and see what it looks like. Just this little medallion here. Just kind of playing around and seeing what might look good. So, as you can see, what you plan in the beginning doesn't always work out. As you go along, you might change your mind. But that's okay. I don't even know if I like that. I think I just like it plain. Because this doesn't even really show up that well. I think I'll just forget the lace. Might do a little stitching here for a wing, just to put kind of lines there for the wing, and then I'll be back. Well, I added a few stitches here just to define the wing a little bit, and I'm going to leave it this way. I think it looks good. It's a little plainer than I envisioned it in the beginning. I was envisioning a swan with all kinds of lace and embroidery, but I think I like the way this one turns out. It's a little more plain, and it still looks beautiful. So I hope I inspired you to maybe create your own swan, either from my pattern or your own pattern, your own drawing. See what you come up with. You never know till you try, and it's a fun experiment. I am going to show you now the other 9 blocks that I've done so far this year, and I hope to do 2 more after this. So this is January, the spotted owl for January bird of the month, the parrot for February. This one was really fun to create. I just love how he turned out. And I did use steam-a-seam for him. It worked out well, but I couldn't really do any slow stitching because steam-a-seam is so stiff. But it turned out really nice, but I didn't get to slow stitch. I slow stitched on him. I really like how he turned out. I like him too. I like them all. I'm really amazed that they turned out so good. This was a robin for March. I did use steam-a-seam for him also. I did slow stitch his feet there, and his beak, but the steam-a-seam for me is too stiff to slow stitch on. This was April the canary. I slow stitched him, did quite a bit of stitching there on him, on his wing. And this is the nightingale for May. Did a lot of slow stitching on him. And then June was the dove, and that one I did put a lot of lace on and slow stitch. And then July was an eagle, and I really like how he turned out. I did slow stitch him, and I used a lot of different fabrics. I think he turned out really great. And August was a kingfisher. I like how he turned out. Did lots and lots of stitching on him. Just all seed stitches and satin stitches and running stitches all along the branch and the whole bird. Lots of stitching. It was really fun. And then September was the hawk, the red-tailed hawk, and I love how he turned out. And then October is the swan. So 2 more to go, and I'll have a nice wall hanging. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And I hope to see you next month for November's Bird of the Month. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.